And good afternoon. Welcome to the booth on KDX AM 1590 with Daren and Todd. Excited to have this guest with us today, Dr. Richie Leeker, Superintendent of Kennett Public Schools. Dr. Leeker, welcome to the booth.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Todd. Thank you guys for asking me to be here. Looking forward to this.
And if it's okay, is it okay if you can call me Daren? Can I just call you Richie?
Richie, yes, please.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
And we go back a long way. I think obviously a lot of people know you've been the superintendent for the Kennett Public Schools for 2 years now.
Yes, sir. This will be my second year here, my 21st year with the Kennett School District.
And tell the people a little bit about your background and a little bit about Dr. Richie Leeker.
Sure. So, first of all, I was raised here. I've got two great parents. They still live here in Kennett. I was raised here in Kennett. I graduated Kennett High School in 1994. About my junior year, I remember having conversations with my dad, and it's like, I don't know that I want to go to college. I don't know what I want to do. I had some cousins that had joined the service, and I was like, you know what? I just don't know what I want to do, but I don't want to have that stress to say what school am I going to go to? Am I going to take the ACT? So when I was a junior, after Christmas, I turned 17, and I had actually signed up to join the United States Marine Corps, and so I just had that burden off of my shoulders. And so my entire senior year, I went to school, had a great time, and then I shipped off to boot camp that summer. As everybody else is getting ready for college, I was headed out to San Diego. I spent 4 years in the Corps, had a great time. I was a truck driver, and it was from 1994 to 98. I got to go on a deployment and do all the fun stuff, but I never had to really cross that line and actually defend our country.
Well, let me stop you there. First of all, you joined the military. You were in the United States Marine Corps, so you did defend our country. We thank you for that.
Yes, sir. So about my last year in the Marine Corps, I was like, man, I don't know that I can do 20 years in the Marine Corps. It's fun, it's good, but I may give this college thing a try. And so my last year in the Marine Corps, I started kind of planning. I didn't know what I wanted to do. My brother, he's also from Kennett, obviously, but at that time he had gone through college and he was getting ready to be in game warden. I thought, that sounds good. I just don't want to write people tickets. I like to hunt and fish. I don't want to do that part of it. So I went to a junior college at that time. It was MCCC. Had a good time there. I spent 2 years really just taking a bunch of basic classes. When you look at my transcript from a bachelor's, I probably have about 165 hours or so, for a college degree. So I met my wife, Tiffany. She's from Holcomb. About halfway through, and she and I had conversations, and she said, you'd be a good teacher, I think. And it just kind of sparked it. So from there, I was fortunate that I probably would have never got my bachelor's had it not have been that the Kennett branch here, that they actually offered that the degree for education. So I think I was one of the first 7 groups of people, or one of the first 7 that went through the CMO branch to get their degree here in education. And I want to say all 7 of us are still in education. So I went through, got my bachelor's, got hired in as a kindergarten teacher, found out pretty quick that was hard, and I went to teach second grade, found out that was really, really hard as well. Both those jobs taught me a lot, taught me to appreciate those folks that are doing that every day. We've got some teachers that are doing it. This is their 42nd year down there teaching first and second grade. No way I could do that.
And let's talk a little bit about, it's a unique situation, I think. We're here with Dr. Richie Leeker on Welcome to the Booth on KDX AM 1590. And no disrespect to any other superintendent or things of that nature, how they come up through the system. Most male superintendents started out as some kind of coach or something of that nature. That's not the path that you took. You were actually in the classroom at elementary level.
Yeah.
And worked your way up. Is that correct?
Yeah, so that's right. So after I taught kindergarten, I taught that. I actually graduated at Christmas. So from Christmas to March or to May there, I taught kindergarten. Got hired full-time as a second grade teacher, and then I taught 5th grade. So I was at Masterson, then I was at South School, 5th grade for 4 years. There was an assistant high school principal job come open at that time, and I was like, well, I really like the elementary, but this is the position that's open, so I need to try that. And I was fortunate enough. I remember Mr. Eddie Siebenhuner. He hired me, and I still have conversations with him now. So I got to work under Eddie Siebenhuner, got to work under David Gilmore, both two great men. Whenever David left, I was able to move into his place as the high school principal. I was there for 6 years. So my total time at the high school, I was the first 5 years as the assistant, the last 6 as the principal. Just got to meet a lot of good people, good staff, just great students that, I look at now, and your daughter was one of them. She's probably 28, 26, 27 years old, something like that. So those kids are getting older now,
Right.
which makes me get older as well. It's had a really good time at the high school, and then I was able to, so I was. You think about it, I was, like you said earlier, I was at South School, I was at Masterson, and I was at the high school. The assistant superintendent job came open, and I was fortunate to get that, and fortunate to work with Dr. Wilson for 3 years and just kind of learn just how he did business. So, and you're right, I've been able to be at every campus and just see the great things that those teachers do. Just see the great things that our kids do, from that kindergarten level all the way up to the high school.
And we're here with Dr. Richie Leeker on KDX AM 1590. Welcome to the booth. And we're talking a little bit about his experience that's led him to where he is today. And you talked a little bit about being the assistant superintendent, and I think that's a very unique position. Tell the people here that don't know, of course, we have Mr. Baker, Nathan Baker is the current assistant superintendent. Of course, we've had some great assistant superintendents in the past. Obviously, you be one of them. And tell a little bit about all the duties that the assistant superintendent at Kennett Public Schools has.
Man, that's the job where you get your hands dirty. So if you ever want to be a superintendent, not just at Kennett but anywhere else, it's a perfect opportunity because we're not big enough to where we can spread out different job duties, but we're too big to have one person do it. So that assistant superintendent just gets the bag of everything else. So, in February, you're focused on hiring new teachers all the way through May. You want to get all those teachers done, just like, this year we were able to hire 25 new staff. That's a big part of it. So you're looking at teachers not only when you hire them, but you're making sure that they have a current certification. You're working every day with food service. We're preparing, 12 to 1,500 meals a day for lunch, 12 to 1,500 meals a day for breakfast, and that all. And there's going to be times whenever there's a misstep there. So you're dealing with that. You're dealing with all. We've got about 90 acres of land that we have to maintain. We've got about 325 square feet of buildings that we have to maintain, and that's all ran through that person. Like I said, it's a daunting job, but if you ever want to know a little bit about a lot of stuff going on, and that's a great job. And that was, the job I have now, I truly love it. It's very, very good. But what prepared me for this job is being is my past job, and being able to work with all these different groups that make our school just what it is.
And for example, if you're the assistant superintendent and you knew this, you could be dealing with anything from a new kindergarten teacher to a new bus driver to lawn and maintenance, things of that nature. You have the full gamut of all those areas in which you're having to make sure that that's all covered at one time. Is that correct?
Everything's got to be compliant, whether it's making sure that the football stadium is up to compliance. Didn't even talk about the athletic component of it. He's got to make sure we've got 12 sports at the high school. I think we have 8 sports at Kennett Middle School. So, like, for example, this afternoon he met with all of our coaches and said, make sure that we're following the rules, make sure we're doing all these things, that at the end of the day, it's not the coach that gets that phone call. If something goes wrong, it's going to be that high school principal, and then he's going to contact the assistant superintendent. So you're exactly right. There's a lot of compliance part of that with that job, but it's also a job where you have a freedom to kind of make your own mark, and what you want to do. And like you had said earlier, we've had a really good history of assistant superintendents. Whenever I was principal, I went back just as a summer project and just kind of researched like 1954 to now, who all has been in that role, who all has been our superintendent, who's been the assistant superintendent. It kind of started out as who was the high school principal. I just wanted to kind of look at that history, and then it kind of grew into more and more. And but you're exactly right. We've had some really good folks in that in those spots.
And we're here with Dr. Richie Leeker, superintendent of Kennett Public Schools on KDX AM 1590. Welcome to the booth with Daren, Todd. And Kennett is a very unique district in that it also has numerous different campuses. You know, you look at some schools, they'll have a high school. Right beside it will be the middle school, and then there'll be an elementary. In Kennett, we're a little bit spread out, but that was because of the unique geographic nature of the town. When there used to be a West Elementary, I guess, and a Masterson Elementary. Explain the difficulties of handling all those different campuses at one time.
Well, it's very challenging. Like you said, I think we're about 90 acres total that we have in the district. Just at the high school, it's 27 acres that you have to maintain, so 7 buildings. So you look at it from a district, from like a safety standpoint. You look at it from a logistics standpoint to maintain the yards, to transporting mowers over there, to the different needs that the different campuses have. So you're exactly right. For example, from like a district safety standpoint, we have 7 campuses at the high school, and so it's important that we ensure that our doors are locked, that we do a good job of actually maintaining what doors open during class change time, so that we can keep that safety. When that building was built, I think in '55, they didn't have the same challenges that we have now.
Right.
And so that is a big challenge to ensure kids are fed. That's also a big challenge. We didn't have that back then. Back when I was in school, it was open campus, and probably most kids went. But like I said, now we're feeding 1,200 to 1,500 meals a day.
And then talk a little bit about those campuses and, some of the safety issues. A lot of people, and I've been bad in the past, I've been wanting to get into the school, and I realize the reason why it's set up is for the safety of every kid. It's not to inconvenience any member of the community. It's because inconveniencing a parent is not what you're trying to do. It's trying to ensure the safety of how many kids do you have in the district right now, would you say?
We're about 1,750.
So you're making sure that those 1,750 kids get there safely, have a good day, are safe, and then go home safely. Is that correct?
Yeah. So like oftentimes, and it's no fault of parents. Parents look at the lens of this is my child. But when we look at things, we're looking at it from a big standpoint. You can't see my arms, but we're looking at it from a lens that's different from a parent. So where that parent might say, "Hey, it's an inconvenience that I have to wait to be buzzed in," or it may be an inconvenience that they ask for my proof of who I am before I give this child up. At the end of the day, they're going to thank us, because safety for us, and I would say for any school district, safety is your number one priority. We got to make sure that we have a safe learning environment. But yeah, you're exactly right. So the safety concerns at that lower elementary are going to be a little bit different than they are at the high school. And kind of speaking of safety, we can kind of take this unless you had something else. So like our bond issue this past year, we were able to pass a bond, and I went around and spoke to different groups. So with this bond, we were able to spend a substantial amount of money towards district-wide safety, to where every teacher is going to wear this device. Every teacher is going to have it, and it's about the size of a stopwatch, that they're able to wear that, and they're able to notify their building principal, and they're able to also notify the local police department if there's any issue in the class. God forbid there's any type of shooting or whatnot where you would need to contact law enforcement. We've got that capability now. And what's good is once that device is activated, it's going to send a GPS. It's going to give the access to the district cameras to our law enforcement, so that they can see what's going on in real time. And it's got a couple other components. One, it's going to sync with our building speakers, so that we can adjust our bell schedules easier. Kids in classrooms today, they may not be able to hear as well, and that's nothing new. Those things have happened, But this device also has actual speakers in the classroom. So like whenever they're talking, they can hear just like you and I are kind of talking right now.
And we're here with Dr. Richie Leeker of Kennett Public Schools. Talk a little bit about some of the safety implementation as a result of the bond issue that was recently passed. And Dr. Leeker, not trying to get you to give up any information, but the Kennett Public Schools does have classroom cameras. Is that correct?
So not classroom cameras yet. We have cameras. There are a few places in the district where we have cameras in the classroom. That's going to be in our in-school suspension, and then we have them in our alternative school as well. But the vast majority of our cameras are going to be in hallways, going to be outside. We've got to a point where we can cover lots of areas, just especially our high traffic areas. Classrooms like the gym, obviously, we've got them in there, in the cafeteria. But we've yet to kind of create that threshold to say that we're going to have cameras in every classroom. I definitely see a lot of benefit from that, and I can say that we're having conversations about, well, what would this look like? What are the concerns that parents might have with having those cameras in the classroom? What are concerns that staff may have? The good thing is that we're not reinventing the wheel. It's already been done, and it's been done well in other schools that are close to us as well.
And then talk a little bit about more of the safety issue, and then we'll get back to a little bit more of the staff that we're going to talk about. Obviously, one of the greatest fears that we've had is an actual school shooting or some kind of event like that.
Right.
And Kennett Public Schools is very active in the active shooter program. Is that correct? As far as training and things of that nature for their teachers and the staff?
Right. So there's an actual state statute to where every school district has to be trained in active shooters. So our district does employ actual staff members that carry every day, and they do that, and they're trained, and they go through a lot of training for that. In addition, when we have our people come down and train all of our staff on what to do if we have an active shooter drill, we practice that with our staff. We practice that with our students, and we do it. It's more than just a conversation, and those are hard conversations to have, to say, to put your mind at that place, to say, what would you do if there was an active shooter? And those are challenging conversations. Well, we've got good folks in place to kind of lead that and to have those conversations, and we've got good staff members in there as well. And so we do practice those hard things. Like you said, God forbid we ever have to do it, but your mind has to be there before it happens, so that you can plan and you can train for those type of things.
And we're here again with Dr. Richie Leeker, the superintendent at Kennett Public Schools. On Welcome to the Booth with Daren, Todd, KDX AM 1590, talking a little bit about the Kennett Public Schools and what they have as far as safety and things of that nature. One last thing on safety, and then we'll kind of segue. There's been a lot of discussion about metal detectors, things of that nature. Where's Kennett Public Schools right now in regards to metal detectors for day-to-day operations and special sporting events, or just sporting events in general? Gotcha.
That's a great question. So last year we opened up in the fall, after fall season, I guess, into the December months. We started having conversations with our board to say, what are some things that we can do at our athletic events to ensure, the actual safety of what's taking place. And so we did purchase one metal detector, and we used it primarily at our high school at athletic events. We did use it some at Kennett Middle School, and we did use it a few times at other events, like I think there was a choir concert that we used it at, and we used it at our graduation ceremony. We ended up having to switch graduation from outside to inside, and the good thing about the type of metal detector that we purchased, it's easy to move in and out. Looking forward, we want to continue doing that. We've applied for just a grant to help kind of offset some of those costs. Those things are pretty expensive. They're about $18,000. You wouldn't think that it would cost that much, but everything costs a lot of money. So we've looked at a grant to kind of further expand that to our after-school activities, and we're having conversations. Well, what would that look like if we were to do it at school? And there's challenges to do that at school. I keep going back to the high school, but you have a high school that's got two large parking lots. You
right.
It's there. 7 buildings. What would that look like if you were to do something like that?
And talking with Dr. Richie Leeker, who's been good enough to give us some time here to talk about Kennett Public Schools. And one thing that is also very impressive with Kennett Public Schools is the current administration that you have in place. I know that we've talked about Nathan Baker as the assistant superintendent. You also have, and forgive me if the titles are, a director of curriculum. Is that correct?
Right. So we actually have 15 staff members on our admin team from me down. So you've got Dr. Andy Maddox. He's our director of curriculum and instruction. You've got Mr. Chad Pritchett. He's our principal at the high school. You've got Mr. Billings. This will be his 39th year, I think, here with the actual Kennett School District. And we've got Mr. Lance Penn. He's our director of career and technology. We've got Miss Nicole Stuckey. She's our principal for Kennett Middle School. Mr. Will Cutts, the assistant principal there. Dr. McMullen, she's our principal for South. You've got Mrs. Deanna Lemmings is the assistant for South. You've got Miss Megan Weaver is the principal for H. Byron Masterson, and Miss Mindy Camper is her assistant. We have a director of health services, that's Christy Roberts. We have a director of special education, that's Mrs. Blankenship. We have a director of technology, that's Mr. Brandon Burke. Altogether, if you look at just those folks, so those 15, we had, there were 9 of us that were new in their jobs last year. So, we do have a wealth of experience and a wealth of knowledge, but 9 of us last year, this was their first year doing that, and it's hard. Whenever you're doing something new, you're trying to feel things out and how things work. So this year, there's only one new person, and so all those folks are coming back, and we've got one person. I think we have a total of something like 68 years of experience in the jobs that we're currently doing right now. I think we got a great team. We got great people that have a lot of different views that bring something to the table, and that's what we talk about. Is it's not my show. It's me at the end making those choices and then those decisions. But I value what people bring to the table, and I think we got have a really, really good crew.
And again, this is Dr. Richie Leeker on KDX AM 1590. Welcome to the booth with Daren Todd. And one thing I'll tell the listeners, and Dr. Leeker and I, we've had our differences in the past. And one thing I can say about Dr. Leeker is he's upfront and honest, and he will tell you his opinion and why he made his decision. And I think that's all you can ask for an administrator. And we're talking a little bit about the 15-person member of your administrative team. How many teachers does the Kennett Public School District currently employ? Would you have any idea?
Yeah, so I think there's 163 staff that have a teaching certificate. You take 13 of us, or you take 12 of our admin that have certificates. So what's the rough math there? Is that 100, 151, 152? Right. Yeah.
And not to mention, you also have some,
so we have classified staff. Your classified staff could be our paraprofessionals, could be our bus drivers, could be our school nurses, our school social workers, those type of folks. We've got 68 of those right now. I think we're at 254 right now is our actual number.
So one of the larger employers in the Kennett area, would you say?
Yeah, I think we're either second or third. I think FCC is probably first, and then I think we're second. And
again, it's not all smooth sailing here lately. Obviously, there's been some big changes that have not really rocked the boat, but it caused some discussion. This will be the first day for a 4-day school week.
Yeah.
And I have a senior. My son Evan Todd will be graduating. He's a senior, so he's very excited about not going to school on Monday. Right. And I know it's a difficult situation for the school district. And is it my understanding that Kennett was the 8th largest district to finally decide to go to 4 days?
So we're for sure in the top 10. Just because I did I researched. What are the largest schools? I think the largest school is the Independent School District. They're, I want to say 10,000 plus as far as student enrollment. That's far from the norm. I want to say 2 through 10, and we're in the top 10 somewhere. They're going to be from 3,500, I think, down to maybe 1,000 is that number 10th place. We're probably 7 or 8, something like that. And that is a controversial thing for lots of folks for lots of different reasons. And I've always maintained, and just like you said earlier, I mean, at the end of the day, we may disagree on something, but I want to be upfront. I mean, my main goal when I started looking at, why I go to a 4-day school is just for two reasons. Is this going to recruit highly qualified staff? Because that was an issue. Last year, there was, we can kind of talk about that later, but so to recruit highly qualified staff and to retain that qualified staff that we have right now, of the 7 schools in Dunklin County, all but one now are 4-day. And so I felt like we were able to level that playing field with those other 4-day schools because we were losing. We were losing to other 4-day schools. We were losing to Arkansas that's paying their teachers, more than what we can. And so I think from what I saw this year of the 25 staff that we were able to hire this year, they're not all teachers. Some of those are going to be classified staff members. I think 16 or 17 of those 25 that we hired are actual classroom teachers, and there's only 1 or 2 that aren't certified to teach in that area. And that wasn't the case last year when we had to hire 38 teachers. I kind of went back and looked at the history. We hired 38 people last year. The year before, it's kind of the same deal that we were and then that's no knock towards someone that we hire that's not a certified teacher. But if I had a choice, I would rather hire someone that went through the education program, just because I think that's what they went to school for. That's their passion. Not to say it can't be done the other way. And there's a lot of avenues in which people can become teachers now, and we're thankful for that. But our first pick's going to be someone that went to school to be a teacher. Case in point, this year we were able to hire 2 people at the high school that have a chemistry and biology teaching certificate. One's got like 17 years of experience. The other one has, I think, 23. I think that was directly pointed towards that our school is a 4-day school. And again, but it was controversial. And the things that I try to focus on is if I feel it can impact our students by giving them a qualified teacher that's in that classroom, and it can offset not being at school for 5 days versus 4.
And if you look at it, for instance, you now have a certified chemistry teacher who's going to be teaching 4 days a week, as opposed to, no disrespect, perhaps, say a few years down the road, I retire and I'll say, hey, I'll help you where I am. If you put me in a chemistry class, I'm not going to be anywhere near the level of intelligence of someone who's certified and has taught for that many years. Right. So it makes a big difference.
Yeah, and again, I go back. I mean, I get that it is controversial and that it's not the norm, and sometimes we have to break those norms.
And I know that you're a big baseball fan, and we'll lighten the mood here a little bit because I can remember back in the day when there were 2 winners, one from the National League, one from the American League, and then they went to the World Series. Look how many teams make the playoff. Now, you have to adjust with the times.
Right.
And I think that's exactly where we are on the 4-day school week. And now let's talk a little bit about something that I know that you're very proud of. Where's the financial status of the school right now? What's our financial condition?
Right. So I was blessed to kind of follow Dr. Wilson just because that was something that he was really good at. So when I took over our fund balances, you look at fund balances, you're talking about Fund 1 and 2. It was at 84% fund balances. It's about $25 million. Now, we knew in the back of my mind that I had this $7 million payment that we had to pay off for a lease purchase that we had for the FEMA building at the high school and for the culinary arts building. So we were able to continue saving money, putting that money in our Fund 4 balance, and we were able to pay off completely that balance to pay that off this year. So even doing that, even spending, I think it was actually $7,070,000 this year, we were able to keep our fund balances. I think this year we're going to end at 77%. That's really good, and it's important to be a good steward of district's money. Taxpayers they want to see that. They want to see that we value that money that we bring in, and we're very thankful that we have a high rate of taxpayers coming in this year. I think our tax rate. I think we collected just over 97% of our funds came through there. That was good. So looking at this year, we're looking at spending some money, maybe a little bit more than what we're going to bring in. But we know that just because we want to make a commitment not only to go to 4 days, but we want to make a commitment to pay our teachers more, and that costs money. And so we may have a little deficit spending this year, and that's fine, and that's something that we know and that we can plan for and that we can manage. The trick is to not do it every single year.
And we're here with Dr. Richie Leeker, Superintendent of Kennett Public Schools, talking on Welcome to the Booth with Daren and Todd, KDX AM 1590. And we talked a little bit about the current financial situation. The legislature decided that they were going to get involved when things tend to benefit them, which, like my good friend, I know him well, and I'm not going to mention any names. They decided that we were going to do some things with the amount of money that was paid to teachers and then pass the buck on to the school system. Is that correct?
Right. And so that's what we're trying to combat. This past year, we were able to give a 5% raise to the base salary for our teachers and for all other staff members. We were paying $36,336, so it went up to $38,350. And the plan, and so what happens is every teacher makes at least $40,000, and so that first year teacher, we've got 2 of them coming in this year. Their actual salary from the Kennett School District is going to be $38,350, and then the state's going to give us that actual difference. Excuse me. And so we actually had, one thing last year with our pay salary schedule, we had 21 different spots that were under $40,000. With our 5% raise to the base, I think we have 8 now. And so our plan is next year to continue to kind of look at that and make sure that we have enough funds in there so that we don't have to rely from the state to basically pay us that difference in there.
And, the state's very good about getting involved in things, and they think it's going to help them getting votes or things of that nature. But yet they say you need to have more local control, so you decide whether or not there's going to be a 4 or 5 day week, correct?
Right. And so, and that's what it is. A few years ago, the state used to look at school calendars in 2 different ways, looked at it by the total minutes of instruction and the total number of days. And so what happened 5 or 6 years ago, they took away the day part of it, and it was just the total hours. So every school, to receive any funding, you have to go 1,044 hours. And we do meet that requirement. I think our calendar is just over 1,045 hours right now.
And we're talking with Dr. Richie Leeker, Superintendent of Kennett Public Schools. And just to get the information out there, I know that we have the 4 or 5 different campuses, so there's a different bell system at each campus. And not trying to put you on the spot, but can you tell the listeners exactly where we're at as far as it's going to be a little bit longer day, a little bit earlier, a little bit later? How are you exactly going to implement that?
Yeah, so the earliest campus last year when we were 5 days started at 7:35, and we kind of went back from there. It was like, well, how early is too early? How early do we want high school kids coming to school? And so we felt like we could bump it back 5. So instead of 7:35, we'll start school at 7:30, and we'll put most of our extra time at the end of the day. So at high school, you're starting at 7:30, and I believe you're ending at like 3:25, some 3:30, something like that. Kennett Middle School, I believe they start their day at 7:40. South and Masterson are right there. One's 7:55, and one of them starts, I think. South starts at 8 o'clock. So very, very close to the same time you start. It's just the most of that day is going to be in the afternoon time.
And a lot of that, again, too, is based upon if you have parents with multiple children in different schools, you have to give them time to get from one place to the other. There's also the bus riding condition for the buses to get from one school to the other. Is that correct?
Right. So we have 12 bus routes in the morning, 12 in the afternoon. And it's hard to find drivers, but thankfully things are going well, and we've got drivers. But you're exactly right. We typically start our bus routes in the morning, 6:15 to 6:30. You're going to pick up your middle school, high school kids first, you drop them off, and come back and do a very similar route for your basically your kindergarten through fifth grade on there.
And if I was a patron, and which I am, and I know this information, but I want to get it out there. Where can you look to figure out this information? There's a website, is that correct, that people can look on and follow and things of that nature for the school district?
Yeah. So we just as far as bus routes, we post bus routes twice a year, August and I think October. But so the school district has a brand. Well, this is our third year having a website. It's friendlier for people to go to. So Kennett School District, number 39, you can go to it. Every building has their own page that you can go to it. We've got our school board policies on there. We've got, we also have a student handbook link on every one of those pages. And that's where you're going to find a lot of your information as far as what time school starts, what bus we're on, what are rules that are going to be specific to that campus.
And I think you'll agree with me. We're here with Dr. Richie Leeker, Superintendent of Kennett Public Schools. Welcome to the booth on KDX AM 1590. Each one of those schools has a very friendly secretary that if you're extremely nice to, and you call in, they can also give you the information. I've never had anybody who's been rude or problematic. And it's almost like they're the face of the school. And they're excited to talk to the parents and let them know what's going on.
Hey, those folks are golden. I've got 4 in my office, and I've got a back-to-school speech for all of my staff that come back on Tuesday. And that's something I'm highlighting is they definitely keep everything running. And that's the same at every other campus. We've got some great ladies that, like you said, they're the first face that people see, and oftentimes, for better or for worse, that they can make a first impression on people. And like I said, we're very fortunate that we've got some good folks in those spots.
And kind of shifting gears a little bit, about 20 years ago, there was a major issue in the school system with kids having so many books in their backpacks they couldn't have locker space, things of that nature.
Right.
And people were saying, well, what could we do to alleviate this? And lo and behold, there's now known what is called a Chromebook.
Man.
Can you talk a little bit about what's going on with Kennett Public Schools and the Chromebook policy and what you've got going on with technology?
I was probably part of that. I was a high school principal. I think I was assistant principal. So let's say David Gilmore, high school principal. We started at the high school, just really looking at. And that was a new buzzword, technology, and Chromebook. And there's tons of good stuff that you can do on that. And we preach from day one that Chromebook is just a tool, and that teacher is the most important tool in that classroom to teach our kids. We definitely don't tell our teachers to use that Chromebook every day. On the same hand, we purchase a lot of our textbooks. Well, all of our textbooks are going to be online. Almost all of our classrooms have a classroom textbook in there, and we like the print. So, gosh, probably from I want to say we've had Chromebooks at the high school since 2015. And you're right. I had a conversation yesterday. It's like, man, you see more and more people talk about. I think I like the print. I want to see it in my hand. I want to turn the page. Maybe it's a little easier to make sure that kids are on task. And that's no knock on technology because it's growing every day with even this new stuff with ChatGTP is just the tip of that. If people are getting on ChatGTP, but there's so much more technology out there that you can use. It's a good tool, but it's just that, Daren. It's just a tool, and that teacher again it's going to be that thing in that classroom that's going to make a difference. And
in talking to Dr. Richie Leeker, Superintendent of the Kennett Public Schools here on KDX AM 1590, we've talked a little bit about the educational improvements as far as the Chromebooks and things of that nature. We've talked a little bit about the financial situation. And again, going back to the legislature, they've also decided at this point this year there will be no cell phones in schools. Is that correct?
Yeah. Hey, that sounds bad when you say no cell phones because, and not you, but just in general, I was looking at some other posts and people put on there no cell phones. Well, there's a caveat. Because we start getting pushback. You say, well, a parent calls and says, well, you mean my kid can't take their phone to school? No, that's not what it says. And I'm really glad that you said that because what the policy is, it comes from the state. It's not coming from me. The state says that while kids are in school, so once they come to school, all the way through lunch, through passing period, anything like that till school ends, they can have their cell phone out or any other device that can be used to pass anything digitally, any kind of technology. So you're looking at your earbuds, you're looking at your smartwatch, iPad, and there are a few ways around it and what they give you. For example, if there's a student that needs to have their cell phone because they're a diabetic and they use that to kind of monitor levels, and so there's ways around it. Obviously, if there is any type of emergency, and the state even spells out what is an emergency, and it goes on and gives you a definition. That's great too. So like if God forbid, there's some kind of fire or whatever, students are going to be able to use their phone. We're not going to, we're not going to put them in their backpack and bury them down deep. But just the day to day, whenever you come on campus until you leave, you're not going to have your phone out. And
the last few years, I've been to some different school districts, and there were the discussion: should we get these? I think they call them Yoder bags.
Yoder bags, yeah.
Which is, I went to a concert one time, and they locked my phone up, and I was like,
weird.
It's just kind of a strange. And then they unlock and give it back to you. Or should we totally ban them in general, or things of that nature? And just from your point of view, why do you think the state came down this year with a policy of what they've written for your district?
I think they're trying to do something good. I think they see where maybe sometimes teachers, sometimes school districts may not want to have that hard conversation head on, saying that we're not going to allow a cell phone in the classroom. It's kind of hard, for some people to say that because it causes frustration. But I'm glad that they did. It just kind of backs us up what we think. For not to have, phones out during the day. And I remember back when I was high school principal, I even advocated for students to have it out at times in between classes and then during the cafeteria time. And it's hard to take that back, but we did. And because I just thought that, hey, this would be a good token, kind of an olive branch, let kids have it. It's just hard once you give somebody something, and it's hard to kind of draw that line. So kind of go back to what you said, those pouches, we looked at those. They're like $18 or $20 a pouch. And then time you look at, do you get them for, just the middle school, high school, or how far down do you go? And then, we just didn't want to invest that money, and we wanted to really follow what policy we had and just kind of see where that led. And so that was this past year. And so when the state came out and they had that new law, we just figured, well, we don't need to buy those. We can just follow what our policy says and just kind of go from there.
And we're here with Dr. Richie Leeker, Superintendent of Kennett Public Schools on KDX AM 1590. Welcome to the booth with Daren, Todd. And we've talked a little bit about the legislature. The legislature is, well, we want local control except when we want to do this or that. And that's by no means Dr. Leeker's philosophy. That's my philosophy. When we think it's going to benefit us, but if it's going to cause a problem, we want to put it on the school district, the 4-day week, no school cell phones. But if we want to make you increase your payroll or something of that nature, then we're all for that. And talking a little bit about that, there's been a push with DESE, with a new director, I believe Carla Esslinger, who was a longtime senator, who was handpicked, I believe, by the current speaker, Cindy O'Laughlin, to kind of make some changes.
Right.
In the past, there were certain guidelines. I can't remember, MO goals or something like that, or things of that nature.
Right.
Where's kind of DESE directing you now? What's their focus on?
So it's kind of good. I've not had any personal conversations with our current director of education. I've been in a few conferences, and I've been able to kind of listen to her, and she says all the right things. She is a former educator. She was a superintendent, very, very sharp. She seems like she's willing to work with folks. Right now, when you look at education, K through 12, we've got certain standards that you have to teach by, and so I think we're doing a better job at the state level to what they call, so they'll take a standard, and then it may sound vague. When you look at a standard 15 years ago or 20 years ago when I was teaching, the standard was kind of vague, that kids will learn this. Well, now when you look at a standard, they're going to be what they called, they'll be unwrapped. And so it'll give you, if it's math, if a fifth grade student to know common fractions, that may be what it sounded like 15 years ago. Now it's going to say that, a fifth grade student will know common fractions to include 1/2, 1/5, 1/3, that type of thing. And so that's helped our teachers better understand and better prepare our students to actually meet those standards, which in turn, at the end of the year when we do all of our state testing, and then it's not as much of a guessing game of what we need to teach. I hate to say teach towards a test, but what standards that are expected of every teacher to actually teach each year.
And, we're here with Dr. Richie Leeker, Kennett Public Schools, talking a little bit about some of the changes in DESE and the things that they're looking forward towards. In the past, it's always been, hey, we want you to teach the test, or we want you to make excellent test scores, advanced or proficient, things of that nature.
Right.
Because that's what everybody looks to see is you have to, for some reason, have some kind of formula, I guess, to say what we've done during the school year is successful. But I think people should just come and see, are your kids happy? Are they growing? Are they maturing? Are they learning how to be true adults?
Well, there's a lot of ways that you can measure success there, and I think you hit it on the head. You can look at it by the way the state sometimes looks at it by the final test results, and we're in the process of getting those back right now, and we're looking at them as a team and thinking, hey, where's the opportunities to grow? What do we do well? But there's also that day-to-day success it's hard to quantify. That's hard to put a circle around. But when a kid, it's got a picture, from our juvenile officer here a couple weeks ago, and I saw and had a student go through and got their GED. And to me, that's a success story from where that student was last time that I saw him. You're exactly right. Success, there's so many other ways that you can measure success, that you can see success, and it's hard sometimes to put all your eggs in one basket for one test at one period of time and say this is a good school, or this is a good performing school and this is not a good performing school. Unfortunately, you can't shout it out at the top of the mountain to tell everybody about that. But thankfully, I think we've got some great people here living in this town, and they have high expectations for the school district. And we try our best to reach those goals. And
we talked a little bit about the beginning of your career, and you said, hey, I don't know if I think or maybe think that college or four-year college is right for me. Right. So I know you've got to be excited about this summer redoing the VOTEC was what I call it.
Yeah. So
and talk about that, because there are a lot of great things going out there. Auto body, all those mechanical things, welding, the culinary arts program. You've got to be excited about bringing that to Kennett.
Yeah, I am. When you talk to Mr. Penn, I'm still bad. I'll call it the VOTEC. So a lot of times,
I apologize, but that's
and I'll probably say VOTEC tomorrow when I introduce him. But it's the Career and Technology Center. So they've changed names. But you're right. We've got 9 great classes out there, and I'm going to put myself on the line. Auto body, auto tech. We've got welding. We've got the culinary arts. We've got marketing. Let's see here. We've got health occupations. We have electronics. That's 7. We've got graphic arts. That's 8, and we've got law enforcement. That's 9. So 9 great practitioners. All those guys were in those fields prior to coming in, and that's more of a non-traditional route, kind of like I was going through school. But all these folks, they were successful in their careers, and for whatever reason, they wanted to come back to a school and work. And it's a great opportunity. So the first day that school was out, back May 16th, they started coming in, and they tore everything out of there from the ceiling, and they took the tiles up. I thought they would lay over the tile. They took everything out. Only thing they left was the drywall. And started from there, patched all the holes in the drywall, tore everything out. Because that building was like 1965, 67, something like that. It hadn't had any type of update since then, anything major anyway. And so, when you have 60 years there. If someone wants some type of electrical outlet, you put it on the outside of the wall because you don't put it through, and it just starts looking bad, and then one thing leads to another. You didn't realize how bad it looked, but now I don't know how it happened, Daren, but it did. So everything's new, from the ceiling tile, the lights, the painting, the floor, doors. I can't wait for people to come and see it. Just give us a little bit more time. We've got everything in the rooms. We've got everything waxed. We probably have another week and a half or 2 weeks of really getting everything where it needs to go, and then really working with our staff to say, hey, this is as good as it's been probably since the day it was built, and we're going to work hard to maintain it and make sure it looks good.
And giving you a little secret, my son Evan's been working this summer doing some things. And he told me, Dad, he's like, I don't know how they've done it or how they pulled it together, but I didn't think they were going to get it done. But they have, and that's very impressive for the not VOTEC,
the Kennett Career and Technology Center.
Absolutely.
There you go.
And we're here with Dr. Richie Leeker, Superintendent of Kennett Public Schools, and we're winding down. I'm grateful for him giving us some time. I know it's a very busy time of the year for him, getting ready for everything. Dr. Leeker, talk to me about some of the visions that you have for the future of the Kennett Public Schools, some of your concerns, some of the things that you're wanting to do, and some of the things you want to leave as a legacy when you're no longer the superintendent.
It's a good question. We only have so much time at every spot. I've only been in, 6 years is about just as long as I've stayed at a place. I was a high school principal for 6. Most of the time it's 5. So I know that I'm only guaranteed so much time. And I do. Not for me, but the things that are important to me, I look at 3 things when I look at a school. I'll look at the academic component. So are we putting kids out that are active and productive members, whether it be through college, whether it be right into the workforce. And then once we get kids at school, I want to ensure that they act right. So what policies, what plans do we have in place that once we get kids at school that they're acting right? And 3, the third thing is I want kids to come to school. Even when I was in school, you was in school, you didn't think that was as big of an issue, but that is a challenge that we have, and it's not just at the high school; it's at all levels. So we were able to this past year. Those are my 3 goals, and I think if we can do good at those things, then we're going to have a good school. If we can ensure we have high quality teachers that have the support that they need, that have the tools that they need, and they have the education that they need, they're going to be in the classroom and they're going to do their job. If we can make sure that once kids get to school, that the barriers that they have, and we often find that when a kid acts out, it's most often not just because they want to. There's some underlying issue. We can get that figured out, and it's why we put so much time and effort into finding out. So we have a lot of different resources for kids, and then we got to get them to school. We put a lot of resources in to get kids to come to school, and so whenever my time is done, I hope that someone can look back and either as a student or as a staff member or as a patron to say, you know what, when he was in charge, things were good. Kids were coming to school. They were learning. They were being productive members of the town. They were going off and doing good things, and they were coming to school every day.
And we're here with Dr. Richie Leeker, Superintendent of the Kennett Public Schools, on Welcome to the Booth with Daren, Todd. Got about 2 or 3 minutes left, so we're going to wind down. Talk to a wide array of things today. Dr. Leeker, I know that you'd be remiss if you didn't mention that you have a very good board of directors that you would work with every day. And I know that you'd like to mention a little bit about how they've helped you as far as the policy-driven side of the Kennett Public Schools.
Absolutely. We have 7 great board members. I was actually I've worked with 8 board members. Mr. Ralph Eman, he left this past year. 7 great board members. Our board president, Mr. Matt Shetley's been on the board almost 30 years. He's been board president, I want to say 20-plus years. Just that knowledge that he brings. Mr. Matt Poole is our vice president. Again, he's been vice president for many years. He has great knowledge just in the banking aspect. Kind of go back to Mr. Shetley. He's got great knowledge in law and that type of thing, to where when you go into difficult situations, he's got that knowledge. Our other board members, Mr. Wake, Mr. Harris, Mr. Freeman. Catch me on top here.
obviously my favorite, Mr. Boone.
Mr. Larry Boone, and then Mr. David Williams. They all bring just a lot of knowledge and from different aspects and from different viewpoints. Been very supportive. And support doesn't always look like, hey, I think you're making the right choice. Support can sometimes be, hey, have you thought about this? What's this vantage point look like? We all don't want to think the same thing and do the same thing. That's not how you look at choices. And so I definitely value everything that they do and the input that they give me. And they've been very supportive in things, and definitely this transition has gone better by what they do for us.
And again, I'd like to thank our guest, Dr. Richie Leeker, Superintendent of Kennett Public Schools, for being our guest here on Welcome to the Booth on KDX with AM 1590 with Daren Todd. And I would like to thank our executive producer, Maureen Johnson, our executive producer, Evan Todd, and I'd like to thank you for making us part of your day. And we'll catch you next time on our next Welcome to the Booth.